Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 223 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. All righty, let's get started. Morning, Liz. All right, so let's get into our meditation routine. I will see you guys on the other side. Excuse me. One of my brothers started his journey today. How excited! Doing waking up early, and he's gonna start reading The Alchemist. Which, if you guys haven't read, the book is absolutely phenomenal. One that I would suggest everybody in their lifetime at least once should read, because it's about discovering life's purpose, which is amazing. Paulo Coelho is, I believe, he's from South America. He's a South American artist, author, and he had his book translated into like so many tens of, I think maybe like so many different languages, like 10 or 30 of them. So good book. Now to get into our reading session, we're reading Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. Yesterday we found the spot in the book, the Waldo, that described what it meant to create a new earth and contribute to the new earth as a collective. Anybody who is one with what he or she does is building the new earth. So, and the more and more we get closer to ourselves, the stronger we become, the better asset we become to life. I will see you guys on the other side. Thank you. Be right back. Mm. 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 Nice. Big deal. Alrighty, welcome back, my friends. Good morning, Carl. Good morning, Abdul. Good morning, good morning. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All the way from China. How amazing. Okay, so we just finished our reading routine, and now we're getting into our journaling routine. So in our journaling routine, I like to start off by writing about what I'm most grateful for, or just thanking God for life, and thanking God for waking up, and thanking God for being in exceptional health. Now, if you don't believe in God, totally up to you. No judgment. You can thank the universe, and if you don't believe that there is a universe, no judgment. Um, Needless to say, I will see you all on the other side. All right, my friends, welcome back. Good morning, Matt. How's it going? Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. Okay. This will be a quick review today. So, again, yesterday we figured out how to contribute and create a new earth within our own capacity, within our own strength. And now during this chapter, we're starting to get into how ego can sabotage people's work. When work is no more than a means to an end, it cannot be of high quality. When obstacles or difficulties arise in their work, when things don't go according to expectation, when other people or circumstances are not helpful or cooperative, instead of immediately becoming one with the new situation and responding to the requirements of the present moment, they react against the situation and so separate themselves from it. Really, really big key. When I'm in the middle of a transaction in real estate, right, and something happens, I don't care what the situation is or what, in some people's minds, what the problem would be. I don't care about any of that. The only thing I care about is understanding what is going on, identifying it neither as good or bad, and finding a solution to get it done. That's the only thing that's on my mind. But a lot of the times what I tend to see is people say, oh, they put their opinions on things. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, that's, man, oh, this is a lot of work. I hear that so much, and it just eats me up inside because I'm like, who cares? Why are you putting all this energy and emotion on tip top of this situation? It's just a situation. Let's just figure out a way of how we're going to resolve it. And that's how I get through my work and keep it as stress-free for my clients as possible. Oh, you're so optimistic. Oh, you have to be a realist. It's not about being a realist. My reality is simply that I'm going to get it done at all costs. And it doesn't matter. Like, so long as everybody's on the same page and I can have everybody in the circle, everybody who's in that space mentally in the same direction, then I'm good. But the longer we stay hung up on this, the longer that, and bigger the situation becomes. So I just try to pass right through it. So anyway, when things don't go according to plan and when people don't perform the way that they should, or at least the way that you expect them to, we get discouraged, and then our ego flares up, and then we disconnect ourselves from the situation. Then it goes out of control, and then we run away from problems. We run away from situations, whatever it may be, however we define them. We run down a rabbit hole essentially when we could just run toward the problem and run toward the situation. Again, not to identify it as a problem, but just to translate it. We just run toward it, and when we run toward it, then it suddenly becomes so much clearer, and then it eventually disappears because you become one with the situation. Many people are truly their worst enemy. If you show up late to a meeting, pay your respects to the people who are there, but always know that you're never late. And I'll let you interpret that exactly how you want to, but we're truly our own worst enemies. Oh, that person didn't answer their phone, so they must be out doing something, or they must be extremely busy. No, they might be in a meeting or in a training for 4 hours, and they can't get back to you right away. Whoop-de-doo. Give them some time to get back to you. If they don't get back to you for a week, okay, then there's a reason, or maybe they slipped their mind. Even if they don't get back to you for a week, with the business of the week, maybe when you reached out to them at that very moment, they had just got some information that was devastating, quote unquote, in that very second. And they just got some news that was really good. And they were right in the middle of shuffling some papers around. And then boom, they don't get back to you. Again, at the end of the day, we make our assessments. We choose who we work with and who we don't work with. But at the end of the day, we could be our worst enemies because it all starts up here. Give people the benefit of the doubt. And then when they pause, if they prove otherwise, then make your assessment and, keep moving on. Find somebody else to work with. And I think Don't be your worst enemy. Just know and know when those thoughts start going off in your head, ding 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 ding, and then put checks and balances. Pull yourself back. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt, and then just never stop trusting and never overgeneralize to a mass of people or a group of people. People unknowingly sabotage their own work when they withhold help or information from others or try to undermine them. Excuse me. Try to undermine them lest they become more successful or get more credit than me. Cooperation is alien to the ego, except when there is where did I just lose that? Except when there is a secondary motive. The ego doesn't know that the more you include others, the more smoothly things flow and the more easily things come to you. When you give little or no help to others or put obstacles in their path, the universe, in form of people and circumstances, gives little or no help to you because you have to cut yourself off from the whole. The ego's core feeling, the ego's unconscious core feeling is of not enough. Causes it to react to someone else's success as if that success had been taken away from me. It doesn't know that your resentment or another person's successful curtails your own chances of success. So in other words, give as much as you can to people. The more you hold back, the more you feel threatened, the more inflated your ego becomes, but then the less that you get from the universe. So the more you give, the more you get back. But when you give without expectation of that person or of the situation, whatever it may be. Just give to give. And then beautifully, the universe will bless you in a totally large amount of abundance. Good morning, Ryan. How's it going, man? I owe you a phone call. Don't think I forgot. People unknowingly sabotage their own work. Okay, so continuing on. In order to attract success, you need to welcome it wherever you see it. That's why being and sipping haterade is not the best way of going about life. An illness. So the next section of this book, the ego in illness. An illness can either strengthen or weaken the ego. If you complain, feel self-pity, or resent being ill, your ego becomes stronger. Ooh, that's an interesting one. I just had a realization. It also becomes stronger if you make the illness part of your conceptual identity. I am a sufferer of such and such disease. Some people, on the other hand, who in normal life have a big ego suddenly become gentle and kind, much nicer to people when they are ill. Interesting. I think so. They may gain insights they may never have had in their normal life. They may access their inner knowing and contentment and speak words of wisdom. Then, when they get better, energy returns, and so does the ego. That's an interesting, I think, realization or kind of a self-reflective thing to go through. Don't wait to get sick to be nice. Just be nice. When you are ill, your energy levels is quite low. And the intelligence of the organism may take over and use the remaining energy for the healing of the body. And so there is not enough. Got it. So what it's saying is there's not enough room for the ego. When your body energies are really low because you're sick, then the ego doesn't have as much space to be inflated. So it deflates, and then when the energy comes back, the life returns to you again, and so does your ego. Some never do, and so illness becomes chronic and permanent part of their false sense of self. So, the sense of self is. I need my charger. 1 second. My computer's about to die. All right. So when you're sick, the ego is passionately weakened. It's weakened, and because the rest of your body is moving around to fight the sickness off, right? But some people never really heal because their ego attaches to the idea that they are so sick. Oh, I have this disease. Yes, you have this disease, and yes, you may not feel so well. Sympathetic, empathy. I can't even explain how I would, the care that is involved with understanding a situation where somebody has a deathly illness, right? At the same time, we all have the opportunity or the option to choose how we're going to respond to it mentally. So the collective ego, this is a very, very interesting topic. How hard is it to live with yourself? One of the ways in which ego attempts to escape the unsatisfactoriness of personal selfhood is to enlarge and strengthen its sense of self by identifying with a group, a nation, political party, corporation, institution, sect, club, gang, football team, etc. A collective ego manifests the same characteristics as the personal ego, such as the need for conflict and enemies, the need for more, the need to be right against others who are wrong, and so on. Sooner or later, the collective will come into conflict with other collectives because it unconsciously seeks conflict and it needs opposition to define its boundary, thus its identity. All right, so collective ego, everybody who's in college at one point or another can relate to this. Probably one of the most annoying times in life, but depending on which side of the spectrum you were on, probably really enjoyable or super duper miserable because people made fun of you. The one thing that I find very interesting, I don't need anyone necessarily around me for me to be me, and neither do you. But people feel strength in numbers. You feel strength because everybody around you is rocking with you. At the same time, when I go out, well, I don't really go out too much, but let's say I go out with my buddies, right? And we're all together. That's a really, really strong feeling of camaraderie. Like I have my brothers next to me. I'm pretty much invincible. I'm untouchable, right? But then to take it to the next level, obviously checks and balances, and then, start picking fights with people or disrespecting, people when you run into them or whatever, because you have this group of people behind you is very interesting concept to me. Because one day you will be alone. And then when you're alone, you have to ask yourself the question, I don't have all these people around me. Am I in trouble? So collective ego can help with boosting your confidence, in the meantime. But I think it's really important to hold that confidence no matter if anybody's around you. You don't need anybody else. At the end of the day, you are all you got. And so everybody else around you is just an additional support system, an additional confidence builder for you. And when you're in a collective space where you have a number of people, like I feel personally, like our journey to greatness is getting ready to get defined here as the type of group that I feel like we are. And it's going to be, I'm going to read that here in a second. But, I don't feel like we're looking for conflict, for each and every individual person who's watching at home and or who has jumped on a messenger board and or at any point in time. I don't feel like anyone is looking for conflict, right? It's just like, how can we be better as people? And then as a collective, we can change. And that same confidence, that same energy, when we come together, it intensifies the mission and it intensifies what we're trying to do, which I think is awesome. And I don't see any negative in that or, like I said, search of conflict or anything like that. We're not, just mobbing around, bullying people. You should be more conscious or awakened. And if you don't, fall to the sword. So we're not doing any of that. At least I'm not. Just let me know. Give me forewarning. No. A collective ego manifests some characteristics of personal ego. So when you're in a group of people, it's a very interesting thing, and I think it's cool because a lot of people who are on the journey to greatness, I would trust in them to be self-aware enough. I would trust in you to be self-aware enough that there would be a checks and balances. So if we are starting to lose our identity to a degree, or we become so involved with our identity that our ego attaches to it, and so therefore we start to look down upon other people, then that's somebody. There would be a checks and balances at some level or another in the actual group to say, hey, we're starting to go over here to the deep end, and then the book says it can be painful at first to suddenly wake up and realize that the collective you had identified with and worked for is actually insane. Okay. We wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. People ask me all the time, do you smoke marijuana? No, I don't. Oh, what kind of drugs are you on? Nope, not that either. So my point here is that I think we'll be okay in that capacity. But it is a little unusual, I guess. Well, I guess not, because if you really look at it and we look around the world, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people that get up really early, but we only know what we know. We only exposed to what we're exposed to. And in Washington State, we're the ones who are doing it, at least on Facebook Live. A collective ego is usually more unconscious than that was pause. Let me just continue reading. Redo. A collective ego is usually more unconscious than the individuals that make up that ego. For example, crowds are capable of committing atrocities that the individual away from the crowd would not be. Nations not infrequently engage in behavior that would immediately recognizable as psychopathic in an individual. So groups and mobs can be very, very vicious. That collective sense of confidence, that collective sense of durability, of motive, they just go sometimes. And when they go, their actions can be sometimes interpreted as psychopathic. If that was just one individual standing there with a pick in his hand and a fire torch in his other, yeah, let's go get him. Just that one person versus a group of people. That person would probably be labeled as psycho, is what this book is saying. As the new consciousness emerges. Okay, so everybody's ears, I hope you're up to the sky right now. That this is what I feel. This is who I feel we are. There's the other side of the group consciousness. As the new consciousness emerges, mind you, we are not in the technological era anymore. That time has passed. We are now in a consciousness era. I learned that from that idea and concept. I can't say it's necessarily fact, but that idea or concept was introduced to me by a really cool gentleman that I met a week and a half ago, who is a psychology master and has read this book 6 times. So continue. As the new consciousness emerges, consciousness era, some people will feel called upon to form groups that reflect the enlightened consciousness. These groups will not be collective egos. The individuals who make up these groups will have no need to define their identity through them. They no longer look to any form to define who they are. Even if the members that make those groups up are not totally free of the ego yet, there will be enough awareness in them to recognize the ego in themselves or in others as it soon appears. However, constant alertness is required, since the ego will try to take over and reassert itself in any way that it can. Dissolving the human ego by bringing it into the light of awareness, this will be one of the main purposes of the groups, whether they be enlightened businesses, charitable organizations, schools, or communities of people living together. Enlightened collectives will fulfill an important function in the arising of new consciousness. Just as egoic collectives pull you into unconsciousness and suffering, the enlightened collective can be a vortex for consciousness that will accelerate the planetary shift. How amazing is that, you guys? We are on this journey together. That's how I see us, by the way. And he put it perfectly. That was a flawless description of how I feel we're going to change the world, how we are changing the world, just with our daily routine. It's amazing. Okay, so to conclude our session today, we're going to get into our spoken word. Feel free to say after me out loud. This is my life. I am aware. I take full responsibility for my reality and thoughts. I recognize I have the power to manifest the best possible life. A life of wealth, love, and peace. I truly believe I have zero limitations. I trust my instincts, God, and universe. I am ready to transcend. I have arrived. And so it is. Thank you to everybody who joined me day 223 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you to everybody who jumped on the messenger board this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Thank you for being up. It's 6:11. It's a good day. It's a good hour right now. 6:11. 6:11 is a good luck charm or something like that. Everybody who's watching at home behind the camera, thank you for your love and support and sending your energy forward. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 5 a.m. Have a blessed day. See you. Amanda, hi.